Hello, my name is Mike Dehannon and I'm going to talk today about using digital tools for the management of applied behavioural analysis therapy data. Now, ABA is the process of using systematic interventions along with the principles of learning theory. However, managing, collecting, analysing all the discrete trial data can be a really onerous process and involve lots and lots of paper. So I'm going to take you through a quick look at using a digital system where we collect that data on an iPad and analyse it with digital tools. So let's have a look at this fictitious client's record. This is Andy, and there's a number of tabs here that have information, but we're going to have a look specifically at the ABA data. First thing to look at is we're looking at stages here, and in the system there are 6 different stages, and stages are made up of areas. So in this case we've got learning to learn, imitation, play skills, communication, and a number of different areas. The areas have a program, and a program can be across multiple areas, but in this case we've got programs like book labels and sorting and actions, and then each program has one or more discriminative stimulus or SD, for those familiar with ABA. Those SDs have a number of objectives and the blue header here coloured in means that Andy is actively engaged with some of the objectives within that SD. The open header means that Andy's not working with any of the objectives in that particular SD for that area. So what that means is when you're looking at this map, it's really an individualized curriculum or program specifically for Andy, where within the stage, within the area, you're mapping out exactly the sorts of activities that will help Andy the best. And so you can see Andy's doing some work here in learning to learn, in communication, play skills, and self-care. But there's no requirement to fill in the whole page, and there's no requirement to complete all 47 objectives within this particular SD. When we look at stage 2, again, we can start doing stage 2 things in conjunction with stage 1, similar sort of layout. So I've been speaking about objectives. If I look at objectives in particular, looking at this most granular item, you'll see objectives have a status. And now we're looking here at all the particular objectives, and the status can be, it's a current objective that we're working on, it's acquired, it's absorbed, it's held, it's been correct in probe, or it's been just added and there's no particular status applied at the moment. And we can sort through and look through all these different ones, or we can look through by program and look at what are we doing in communication temptation, or what are we looking at in terms of book labels, or which objectives have we acquired overall, or again look at it by stage. And again, it's a very individualized understanding of what's going on for Andy in this particular area. If we look at the edit button here, you'll see that there's a lot of data behind the system in terms of the dates and frequency of testing and whether retesting needs to be done. So let's have a look now at some session data. So the discrete trial data is collected in sessions, and the session records who the therapy assistant is, who the client is, and you'll see here at the moment there's no test results for this particular session. If we go into the collect discrete trial data, and again this is really effective done on an iPad as well by the therapy assistants in home, and then we can choose. Now we're now looking at those same objectives that were on the previous page, but we're now going to collect some data for them. So if I wanted to look at this one here for assertiveness, for example, in a challenging situation, I can then apply the stimulus and the response, so correct, incorrect, non-responsive, or prompted. So for this particular data element, and then record that information. Then do the same for any of the other items on here. I can filter these as well if I want to. If I just want to look for things like ball, for example, I can filter that list down, and then again choose the information, and record the results. Now when we go back to the test data screen, you can see all those familiar ticks collected digitally here for all those items. When I close this session, instead of having to add that all up manually, the session statistics are all automatically calculated. So you can see here that I get the correct, the number incorrect, the number prompted, and the percentage correct, with a corresponding color for red, yellow, or green, depending on the percentage correct. The final thing we'll look at is the overview for Andy. And if we look at the program mastery data here, we can look at all of the information, all of the session data, and the result, the discrete trial data, by session, by SD, by objective. So if we look in here, we can see over time, there's things such like the non-identical banana has gone 75% with 6 out of 8 into 100%, and then in and out. Whereas some of these other items like the SD identical with bed has got a poor result in terms of the percentage correct, then a big gap, and then Andy got some right, and then again a series of poor results. We can even look at this, because we're looking at it by session data, we can see if you look vertically, some sessions Andy did quite well. There's quite a lot of greens in that session. Whereas if you look at a session later in the year, then Andy did quite poorly in this in quite a number of different areas. But the idea is that you get a complete map of all that data showing you what's going on in Andy's world.